Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of This Is Your Captain Speaking. Today I have somebody that I've been speaking with now for a number of years almost at this point, Alex. I reckon we started chatting probably early 2020. Could that be? 2.5 years?
It was long as before that. It was before everything went tits up. So it's been longer than that.
It's been a bit longer. It's been a bit longer. Interesting. So I've got Alexander Lowe on today, or Alex as he likes to be known as. You'll find him on LinkedIn under Alexander, though. Very formal, very posh. But so Alexander is my go-to guy for all things social selling. So any time I need anything from a social perspective, like if I want tips or advice in terms of how LinkedIn algorithms are working, he tries to figure it out. He's got people in the know, on the inside, in the dark rooms, back in the back rooms of LinkedIn that are working out those algorithms. And every time that something new comes out, Alex is always the first person that I ping to say, okay, Alex, tell me what's happening, right? So Alex, really happy to have you on the podcast today. How you doing, mate?
Likewise, great to be here. Yeah, I think you're being a bit generous in terms of my depth of knowledge and connections into the black box of LinkedIn, because I even sometimes get LinkedIners tell me they're not entirely sure how the algorithm works. But certainly there are people that I can go and have kind of off the record conversations with when tweaks and changes are being made. For example, you can now schedule your posts, and I saw today, what day was today? The 2nd of December 2022. They're finally sorting out the LinkedIn inbox, and we're going to have a more focused inbox, because that has an absolute shower of SH1T in terms of being able to manage it. But yeah, I'm Alex, all things social selling, digital selling, whatever we're calling it today.
Tell me a bit about. I want to jump on this because I'm super interested now as well. So tell me about this inbox, because if you're talking about just a general email inbox, you're right, it is a complete mess. Like I think that just the usability of it's just awful.
It's
horrible. Tell me, what are they doing? What are they planning?
So I say, I saw this. I saw a LinkedIn employee post a video clip of the inbox is being tidied up, and it looked like you can now have two different inboxes in normal LinkedIn messages, one being focused and one being other. So it seems like one will be able to have more control over the inbox and sorting and filtering, and basically keeping a focus on the messages you want to remain focused on versus the ones that are just connection requests or just random pitch slaps and so on. So I don't have it yet, but certainly it would appear to be coming. So keep an eye out for that in your inboxes, focused and other. And when I know more, Andy, I will of course let you know.
Thanks, man. That's interesting. They're probably going down the Gmail route then. So splitting out different inboxes for different types of things. So in Gmail, you have your different tabs, your focused inbox, as well as your promotions and social, etc. That's interesting. The only issue I'll say with that as a marketer is now in Europe, this doesn't really matter as much, because the LinkedIn conversational ads don't work in Europe unless you're in the UK. We won't get into why it only works in the UK, Brexit, but it works in the US. So you're able to target certain people with it's essentially what the old sponsored in-mail was, basically. So marketers able to send out mass in-mails out to certain audiences, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if they go down that route, the whole conversational ads piece, you may as well just chuck in the bin, because nobody's going to look at that promotional tab. Like I don't know about you on Gmail. I don't look at that. Like
no, and any sponsored email that comes into my inbox, I tend to ignore, because I know pretty much what's coming. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But it's been a long time coming in terms of trying to get a handle in organizing the messaging function within LinkedIn, because as it stands today, it is god awful.
It really is. And then just on the other thing you just mentioned there as well was about scheduling posts.
Yeah.
Is that available already?
Yeah, so I've got it. So when you go to post, you'll see a little like clock symbol just next to the post button, and then you can schedule whenever you want it to go out. And it would seem that you can schedule multiple posts. Ooh. So this is going to be interesting, right? Because the narrative is that if you post through a third-party tool, allegedly, LinkedIn suppresses those. So now it would suggest that you can schedule your post, but it will still be a native post because it's posting natively, which then begs the question, what does that mean for third-party scheduling tools on LinkedIn? Will there be a need for them? Certainly at the solopreneur kind of the S of SME level, if you can spend 10 minutes scheduling 10 posts over 10 days, 10 weeks, what have you, you're not going to need the Hootsuites or the buffers or the equivalent at the the lower end of the market. And maybe that also will then start to detract from the alleged suppression that if you post through a third-party tool versus natively.
Knowing LinkedIn, probably what they'll do is they'll still suppress it, even if you post multiple via a number of different days, knowing them. Because like, if you look at like a simple example for me is, if you're posting, the algorithm clearly doesn't like when you post multiple posts on the same day.
Yeah,
that's like I think that's a general rule of thumb. Don't post, like, try not to post within 5 hours of one another, or two different posts, because otherwise you're just going to hit a brick wall when it comes to impressions. So I don't know. That'll be interesting to see which way they go. And again, this is complete like conspiracy theory stuff. Like, I don't know, right?
Get our hats on.
Yeah, exactly. But I would wonder, like, with those scheduling of posts, if they'd introduce it, but would they slap people's wrists for using it too often? Because they obviously clearly want people in the platform, right? Yeah. And they want their content creators also in the platform. So I don't know. It's
well, I mean, literally just talking to you. That's why I enjoy actually having these types of conversations, because I've now just triggered in my mind that on the latest algorithm research from Richard Vanderblom, the view is that you want to, and I always debate when the time of day to post, but the view is that the morning is generally better than the afternoon, wherever you are in the world. But are we going to see loads of people then just trying to schedule their posts to go out on? So then it starts to defeat the object of the exercise. I've always had a view that you post when you want to post, versus trying to think about the algorithm, as it were. I think you absolutely need to understand the rules of engagement to give your content the best chance of performance. But unless you are marketing to every single member on LinkedIn, which is highly unlikely, you don't need to go viral. You don't need to get hundreds of thousands of views on the platform to get the success and the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. And the other thing one has to remember, LinkedIn is not a Twitter, it's not a Facebook, it's not an Instagram, it's not a TikTok, where the volume play does work. Where LinkedIn is at the moment, certainly from what I'm seeing and experiencing, is conversation. Conversation is absolutely key, and being in conversation with people who aren't in your network to get those people into your network. That's when I start to see, or am seeing, the biggest reward in all of this. But you need to have a go-to-market strategy. You need to have an understanding in terms of what is the intended outcome I'm trying to achieve by being on LinkedIn. And if it's from a sales perspective, I would suggest that it's about 3 things. It's maintaining visibility in front of your existing client base to remind them you're still here.
Alive.
Yeah, alive, exactly. Clients that maybe you worked with a year ago, but it's a nudge. Oh, I need to pick up the phone and have a conversation with Andy. It's trying to get into net new conversations. Now, whether you're a solopreneur like us, or you are working for a corporate, that could be net new conversations, net new conversations. Or if you're managing a large account and you want to upsell and cross-sell within that account, that could be a net new conversation within an existing relationship that already is happening between you and said client. And the third aspect is then positioning yourself as a subject matter expert in the topic that you advise on. So that could be, my world, kind of our world, MarTech, sales tech, social selling, digital marketing, all that kind of stuff. It could be that you are a mortgage broker, so you want to be in the conversation around mortgages. It could be that you're a consultant who does agile transformation, so therefore you want to be in the conversation around agile transformation or crypto. Or you could be a lawyer that advises on intellectual property, so you want to be in the conversation around intellectual property, and then the kind of the supporting narrative around that. So it really is, for me, those three things for 99.9% of people on LinkedIn. And then you have that 0.001% who are the influencers and the ones that are out there saying, this is how you get 1 million views, this is how you do this is how you do a side hustle, this is how you make £1 million in, like, 24 hours while you're sleeping, and all that bollocks. And what I will say, curiosity always gets the better of me. And if you're thinking about engaging with people who say that, certainly from the UK, go to Company's House, go and find the companies they are directors of, and actually see if what you're seeing in Company's House from a revenue perspective is actually being backed up by what they're saying. And I've done that on a few out there, and I've been like, that's interesting, because the numbers that you are allegedly reporting from a tax perspective are not
something's not matching here,
the story that you're telling in terms of your 7-figure that you're doing, and so on and so forth. I appreciate in the US that's slightly harder, and certainly in Europe I don't know what the equivalent of Company's House in other European countries, but if you're ever bored and you've got 5 minutes, it's certainly worth going and finding the directors of the companies that they work for, or what else they're involved in. Anyway,
there's a lot of snake oil salespeople nowadays. A lot of that, like, hey, I'm going to tell you how to run your business, even though I've never run a successful business in my life. Yeah. So like, there's so much of that around at the moment. And also, like, you mentioned something interesting there, just around like LinkedIn posts, and not really don't chase the numbers in terms of number of impressions, etc. And I've got some good examples of that. I just sometimes like to throw stuff out on LinkedIn for fun. I call that Friday funnies. It's normally on a Friday night. This is a particular one. It was a Friday night and I'd had a couple of glasses of wine, and I was like, you know what, something just came to mind. I was a bit more relaxed. Something came to mind, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to push this out just for fun, right? And what it was a post that I had in my mind. I was like, this is probably going to be this could possibly go viral. That was my thought process, and I never really had that feeling before or something. But I was texting somebody on Slack, right? And when somebody writes something on Slack, you can mark the message with like that emoji, that the high five emoji, right? If somebody does something good, right? Now on LinkedIn, they didn't have that. Right. So like, I was going and wanting, somebody would write a post, and I'd want to give that like high five emoji on the post, but like there's only a couple of crappy emojis that you could use there. And this is before they brought in the laughing emoji and the clapping or whatever, right? So I took a screenshot of like I wrote this on Slack, but the message that I wanted to say, and the message basically said, Slack has reprogrammed our brains to think this way. LinkedIn, get your act together, right? And I pushed that out, and I woke up on the Saturday morning and I'd already had like 1,500 likes, 250 comments. I think at that point it was like 90,000 impressions or something on it. It went up to like 200 350,000 impressions. By far the best performing post from that perspective I've ever done. Ever. Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. And it brought me nothing, nothing, right?
That would be my question. How many leads did that generate?
Zero leads. And I've had posts that have had like 2,000 impressions, right? Now, if I'm talking about for just in terms of benchmarks for me, my typical post will get somewhere between 10 to 15,000 impressions, right? That's that sort of benchmark for me, maybe 20,000, right? I post regularly 3-4 times a week, and now you're looking at somewhere like 5,000 up to 20,000 is probably like the umbrella there, right? And sometimes I'll have a post that's got like 2,000 impressions, and somebody will ping me a LinkedIn email and be like, I've just seen your post about XYZ, really interested in this, do you have a minute to chat? And that's where I have won all of my business. Every single bit of business that I've won from my own business, I have won that way. And it's all been from those lower performing ones. So like, I would not go chasing those likes and comments and impressions, etc. As you said, start a conversation or get your mind out there so that you're actually sparking others to start a conversation with you, right?
And that's the thing. I mean, and again, it's also by market. So I primarily operate in the professional service space. So lawyers, accountants who tend to be less active on there. So my typical post will go, I get on average 1,500 views of whatever it is that the time frame that LinkedIn does. I think it's a week or a month. So profile views, and then my post will typically be, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 impressions, up to maybe 5, 6 if I'm lucky. Video seems to have kind of really kind of gone down, or cyber to have gone down.
Tanked.
Yeah. The number of people that say to me in person, "Oh, I saw your video," or "I'm looking forward to this next post," or "I saw your post," and I know they haven't liked or commented on it, because you see that. So again, the impressions thing is kind of, it's good, but it's much more around, are the impressions then landing in the right feeds of the people that you want to see, and that's then where actually, in order for that to happen, you need, and this is what we do know to be true about the algorithm, is you need to trigger the algorithm so you're getting that two-way piece. So let's say that you and I, Andy, had never met before, but I wanted to start to get your attention. So I might have found you through a LinkedIn search. I might have used Sales Navigator to save you as a lead, and then it serves your content to me. You drop a post on LinkedIn. It could be you're hiring a job. I might type "for my network." It could be that you've just done something. I might drop a like. Irrespective of whether you're doing that action through LinkedIn or Sales Nav, every action has a reaction. So what I've now done is I've sent a signal, A, to you, hey, this is who I am, but B, the next time that I post something on LinkedIn, because I've signaled to LinkedIn that I've shown interest in you, it will put my content into your newsfeed to test whether Andy shows any interest in Alex, in terms of what Alex is posting. That's the thing. Every action has a reaction. So back to the whole point around social selling, digital selling, whatever the hell we're going to call it, comes back to that. If you do not have a purpose in terms of what is the intended outcome that I want to achieve by being on here, then you end up just doing random stuff on social. So 90% of what I do on LinkedIn, there is a purpose. I'm trying to remind someone that I'm here, either they haven't responded to an email, they haven't responded to a voicemail, we haven't spoken in a while. I'm trying to get in front of someone who I want to talk to, or I want to position myself as I know my stuff about digital selling, social selling, sales tech, CRM technology, data, blah, 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 blah. That is religiously what I focus on. To your point, it's that LinkedIn is one to many in terms of when you're posting, but the conversation is one to one. And that's how you've got to think about it. And to your point, I'd far rather one CMO, CRO, business development director, marketing director, sales enablement officer, whomever, sees my post, and then that triggers them to get in touch with me. It's worked. It fundamentally has done what it's meant to do. Versus, to your point, I've been viral before. We remember the shower video. I'd be standing in the shower, being like, in my clothes and all that, and it went absolutely mental in terms of I think it was half a million, 750,000 views of the video. Just going viral is the worst thing in the world, because then you feel like you have to manage it. Then you start getting trolls because people are just dicks on social media. Just because they are. I generated absolutely zip, other than a bunch of my very close network messaging me going, "You were really brave for putting that video out. I thought it was very, very, very funny." And this is where I feel that social selling is kind of losing its original intention. Is the social bit. It's definitely not the selling bit. But I'm seeing, and this is what I wrote about in my most recent article in my newsletter, is that there are people now trying to become a personality on LinkedIn, and have kind of lost touch with what a personal brand, and if I don't know if this is being videoed in terms of it, if you're listening, I'm doing inverted commas, I've kind of lost touch with actually what a personal brand is, versus being a personality on LinkedIn. Now, a personality on LinkedIn might be a Tom Boston, it might be a Will Aiken, might be an Alex Sue, who's the Chief Community Officer for Ironclad, which is a contract legal management software platform, used to be a lawyer. Those people are personalities, but those people are paid to do what they do, and they are also creative geniuses in terms of being able to pick up on a theme, pick up on an idea, put a clever spin on it, pick up on a trend from TikTok, and then translate that into sales, marketing, or legal in a way that works to drive that overall brand awareness and bring people to Sales Loft, Ironclad, and in Will's case, the sales feed, right? They are really very, very good at doing that. I do not have that skill. I do not have that creative skill to do that. So I stay in my lane in terms of the personal brand is, yes, it's your LinkedIn profile, but let's be clear here. You're not going to win or lose business because of a good or bad LinkedIn profile. Never once have I ever had anybody say, we're giving you a piece of business because you've got an amazing LinkedIn profile, ever. I mean, let's just be really blunt about that. People get in touch because of the content and the conversation. And I hate the term, but the value that I allegedly bring by knowing my audience is primarily professional services, so talking to them in a language they understand, breaking stuff down into more simpler things that is relevant to them, and that then is the brand that is me, if you will, in that sector. But it's taken me the best part of 6 years to get to the point where I now am known, and I've had people say to me, you have really admire what you do, so incredible in terms of that personal brand you have built over time. I'm not trying to be a personality. I'm trying to be that person that people pick up the phone to when they know they've got, we need help with social selling. We need help with Sales Navigator. We don't understand the CRM integration between this and that. I know what? I'm going to pick up the phone to Alex. That is a personal brand.
100%, couldn't agree with you more. And I know that people always say this, like you need to offer value, and I was like, oh, that's bullshit. It's not though, because like that's exactly what I focus on. So I've got a bit of a for me, what's worked really well, I've got a cadence, right? And for every post that I put out, I've got a specific cadence. It follows a certain style, right? And that's really important for consistency. Like I start all my posts, and people give me so much hassle about this all the time, but I start my posts with yo, and I finish them with go get them, right? Yeah. You know, you're shaking your head, you're nodding because you know.
That's Andy, right?
Exactly. So, but people, like I work with a guy at Chief Revenue Officer in Ireland, he's forever giving me, he goes, oh, when am I appearing on one of your yo, go get them posts, Andy? Oh, yo, and he's like, yo, Andy, what's going on? Are you going and getting them? And I get this from all my mates back home and everything, and I'm like, great that all these people are saying this to me, because obviously it's sticking, right? If I, that's me building that. Now that's just a small little funny thing on the side, but in between that, yo and go get them, I make sure that I have every post that I put out is offering a problem and a solution to the problem. And here's like 2 to 3 ways to solve that problem that I've just recognized. And when people see that, I'll give you an example, right? Recently, I posted about increasing demo requests on your website, right? And I've had it many times in my career where I've had a CEO that's just come to me and be like, I need you to go and just increase the number of demo requests we're getting on our website. I'm like, oh, why didn't you just say? I should have thought about that myself. Like, it's not possible, right? So it's not an easy thing to do, but there are other options that you can do that can give higher intent downloads or like form fills on your website. For example, a demo video of your product that brings you from start to finish in the entire product. And I said, this is how you film that. This is how you do it. Here's another option of another high intent form fill that you can get in your website that's not a demo request, that people are maybe not ready for a demo request. And immediately 3 CEOs reach out to me privately on in the background, and other CEOs are tagging people from their companies, their marketers, be like, read this, right? So like that, following that cadence every time has worked incredibly well for me. But that's like when people say, well, I say to people, yeah, you just add value. People are like, yeah, sure, obviously, but how?
Yeah.
Problem, identify a problem, give a solution.
But to your point, it's give a solution which is actionable instantly. That somebody could actually take that content and go and do it themselves. And I need to revamp my my YouTube channel, but even the content on there, you could follow every single video that I have. It's all free, that I've created around social selling. You could sit there and do that by yourself and you wouldn't need to pick up the phone to me. But people are lazy, it's hard, and they want someone else to come in and hold their hand to do them. So if you're able to show, you do this, this, and this, and this is the outcome, they go, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, that feels really hard. So I need to pick up the phone to Andy to then actually come and help me do this, because that's why, you know, when we talk in the green room, we pay people to manage our accounts. Because I'm not an expert accountant and I haven't got the time or energy to even want to learn it. So I then pay people money to solve that part of the thing that I don't understand, because by getting that bit right, it makes everything else easier. It's why
Alex is referring, by the way, to tax consultants there, not about our LinkedIn account. So when you're saying, like, I was like, I don't pay anybody to manage my LinkedIn account. I was like, oh, you're talking about tax.
Tax accountants running our finances for our businesses. And it's why, you know, my longest standing client was 2 years on a social selling program, because I got into the business and it was working, and they were like, well, it's working, so keep doing, and we're going to keep paying money because we can see the value that you're bringing, and we just haven't got the time or the bandwidth or the skill internally to drive this. Every single piece of business I have won and created over the last, 6 years now, has been generated through inbound on social or referrals. So either I saw that and I read that, or I've been told I need to come and talk to you because you're good at, you're good at what you do, and you can help us in this problem.
100%. Okay, look, I'm wary of time here, Alex, as well. So just one thing that I did want to get into. Now we've gone down a little bit, probably deeper in the funnel for people that are actually posting, but you've got people that are just sort of getting started and getting their LinkedIn profiles up to date and everything. Now there are a couple of things that we've spoken about, some of the basics, like, and this goes particularly for younger sellers as well. I've seen some awful things coming from younger sellers in terms of even the profile pictures that they're using on LinkedIn. Don't use a profile picture when you're out in the piss with the lads.
No,
that's, nobody wants to see you in your jocks when you're over in Ibiza, on the beach. Nobody wants to see that, right? That's fine for Instagram, but not for LinkedIn. What are some of the things like people should watch out for? Just the basics.
So notwithstanding my earlier comment about a personal brand and a profile, it is first impressions count, right? So when you meet someone for the first time in real life, IRL, what you're wearing, how you come across, your demeanor, human nature is that we make a snap judgment about those individuals. It just is what it is, right? So there's no difference to actually anywhere that you reside digitally online. So it could be LinkedIn, it could be Insta, it could be TikTok, it could be Twitter, it could be Facebook, if these are all public facing accounts. But certainly from a LinkedIn perspective, banner image at the top. Either have the branding of your organization, go to your marketing team and ask them, go to canva.com, go to unsplash.com to get free imagery. To your point, up-to-date corporate profile photo. Turn up how you turn up in Zoom meetings with your clients. You can now add a 30-second video behind your profile done on your phone. It doesn't have to be TikTok, but just a 30-second intro in terms of who you do. Headline, don't have your job title. Describe the problem that you solve. Consider the creator mode, so you can have talks about the 5 topics and the hashtags in terms of these are the subject areas that I talk about. Make sure you got the featured section activated. It's a great way just to pin content. Your about section is not your CV, it's your story. I mean, there's so many different ways you can write your about section. Just don't be a sales pitch. Don't be all about you. Think about using the words you, we, working with you, we will, working with you, I will. So you're bringing the reader in. The experience section, this is the what I do and the how I help, the how I solve. This is the, so you'll almost follow the structure that your post takes. It's not about hitting club. It's not about hitting quota because no one cares about that. Have all the skills on there, 50 skills, education, most things on there. If you can get client recommendations, get client recommendations. But just think about what is that first impression I want to talk to. You are talking to your next client, not your next job.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think we'll call it a day, Alex. Thanks a million for coming on and chatting with me, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Always. And if anybody wants to, reach out and have further conversations or about, what to do, but I'm always hanging around on LinkedIn. But Andy, always a pleasure. And I'll let you know about the focused inbox as and when I know more about it.
Perfect. What I'll do is as well, Alex, I'll make sure that all your credentials are shared as well so people can reach out and where to find you. And yeah, thanks a million, mate. We'll call it a day. Guys, this has been another episode of This Is Your Captain Speaking. Looking forward to seeing you all again next week with some more insightful content. Cheers. Thanks, Alex.
No worries.